What's up, everybody? You're watching JoeBox TV, giving you my official prediction for the Gennady Golovkin-Canelo Alvarez fight, the rematch. Their first fight left us with a bit of a cliffhanger, a draw. Now they get to settle things out in the ring again. I personally thought Triple G won the first fight, 7 rounds to 5, and even though Canelo got off to a great start in the early rounds, by round 4 or 5, Triple G's jab just allowed him to completely take command. And I thought he dominated most of the middle rounds. Canelo picked it up again late, but again, I still thought Triple G won 115 to 113. And even those who either agreed with the draw or had it 7 to 5 Canelo thought that the one scorecard of 118-110 Canelo was utterly ridiculous. I mean, that was... I can't even... ugh. Now, one thing that's really intriguing about this fight, both of these guys are entering the rematch a little bit ticked off, and I'll explain why. Canelo tested positive for nandrolone, a banned substance, and now you've got a lot of people out there who think Canelo's a cheater, even though Canelo insists that it was due to contaminated meat. You got Triple G and his team, as well as the fan base, suggesting that Canelo might not have been clean. On the other hand, Triple G wants to prove that the decision was a fluke, and that he really won the first fight, and that he's a better fighter. Now let me give you my full prediction in detail. Now we know Gennady Golovkin is a relentless pressure fighter, one of the biggest knockout punchers in boxing, and has a terrific jab to go with it. The problem in the first fight was he got off to a slow start. I feel as though he gave away the first 3 rounds in the first fight. He's going to have to get off to a much quicker start in the rematch. And one way to do that is to go to the body early. Wear down Canelo, take away those legs. Even though Canelo got off to a strong start in the early rounds, he eventually started to keep distance and use his legs in the middle rounds. If Triple G goes to the body early and wears him down to the body, Canelo's going to be forced to stand inside more often than he wants to. As for Canelo Alvarez, when he let his hands go in the first fight, he was dictating the fight. His hands were too quick for Golovkin. The combination punching was giving Golovkin fits. Now, the problem is, his moments of activity were too few and far between. He's going to have to fight at a consistent rate and not give away rounds. Also, he can't back up against the ropes. That's where Triple G will punish him. At this point of the fight, after the first half of the fight, I think you're going to see Canelo ahead. I think his youth and athleticism are going to give him a lead in the first half. However, here's the problem. I think he's going to start to become a little bit overconfident. I think you might see him get a little bit reckless and forget about the fact that Triple G is one of the biggest punchers in boxing. And I think you're going to see him get caught with probably a looping right hand that rattles him. I don't think it knocks him down, but I do think it leads to him going back into that very conservative mode where he starts backpedaling. When you start backpedaling against Triple G, that's when he takes over the fight with that piston-like jab. Look at some of the guys that Canelo Alvarez has either struggled with or lost to. Floyd Mayweather, Erislandy Lara, and Gennady Golovkin. They all have razor-sharp jabs. And from what I've seen, one of Canelo's main weaknesses is he's not particularly good at avoiding the jab. If Canelo is as ticked off as he says he is, and can manage to fight with enough urgency and not get hurt or shaken up by Triple G, he comes away with a victory. But I just don't see it playing out that way, and I think Triple G comes away with a very close majority decision. I don't want to make this too long, but I do want to mention the co-feature, David Lemieux versus Gary O'Sullivan. Now, momentum seems to be more towards Gary O'Sullivan at this point in their respective careers. Lemieux just seems like a bit of a shot fighter, and he did have that terrible performance against Billy Joe Saunders, where he was shut out and completely outboxed. But one thing about David Lemieux fights, he excels in inside fights and brawls. And that's exactly what Gary O'Sullivan is. Pressure fighter, very good pressure fighter, but not a great defense. And every fight, every David Lemieux fight that takes place at close quarters, that's a rough and tumble brawl, always ends in Lemieux ending it with a big left hook. I think Lemieux gets kind of beaten up to a certain degree in the first 4 or 5 rounds, but I think in round 6, Lemieux ends it, probably with a left hook. You guys let me know in the comments below. Who's gonna win? Triple G or Canelo? Who's gonna win? Lemieux or O'Sullivan? It's fight week and I can't wait. I'm hyped, man. Until next time, JoeBox TV,